Okay, welcome. Are we up, on, running? All right, welcome to, good morning, everyone. And we have a big crowd here today, so it's great we appreciate your attendance. And for the viewers, we thank you for tuning in also. For introductions, on my left is Commissioner Deb Shore and Commissioner Todd Wilchin. And on my right is Vice Chair and Commissioner Larry Hudkins and Commissioner Bill Avery, and I'm Commissioner Roma Amundson, Chair of the Board. So, will you all join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and thank you so much for joining in. And Mr. Clerk, will you begin the agenda, please?
A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the wall at the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, a copy of all written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available from the county clerk's staff. The material can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Agenda item 1 are minutes. Approve the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held on Tuesday, March 24th, 2015.
I move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 2 are claims. Approval of all claims processed through March 31st, 2015.
Move approval.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the claims. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 3 is a special presentation, recognition of Terry Weber, jail administrator for 35 years of dedicated service to Lancaster County and the Corrections Department.
Good morning. With a heavy heart, we're here today, but we see a lot of staff that come in for
Mike,
the recognition.
Could you say who you are?
Yes, Mike Thurber, Director of Corrections. Today we have Terry Weber, Jail Administrator, who I'm bringing in front of the board today to talk a little bit about his time with Lancaster County and give you an opportunity to chat with Terry. It's interesting in this business, we don't see many retire, and it's sometimes it's been more of a transient population of staff, but I think we found, and I think the Lancaster County's helped, that building a career is something can be relished here, as well as the staff that are here today and how long they can put in and the effort they give to Lancaster County and to the people we serve in Lincoln. But Terry's told us it's time to do other things, another chapter. I'll tell you a little about, I know Larry's been here probably the longest with the development of the jail. Terry's born and raised in Lincoln. He's a 1968 grad of Northeast High School, Rocket. In 1968, later that year, he joined the military and was with the 361st Signal Brigade mid-69. Spent 18 months in Da Nang, Vietnam, and another 10 months in Krat, Thailand, as a tech controller for the United States Army. He returned briefly in 1971, turned around and went back, worked for a private electrical corporation, and did that for 3 more years in Bangkok, Thailand. He met Sujat, who's with him today. They returned to Lincoln in '74. He joined the 67th Infantry Support Brigade in Nebraska National Guard and was that team leader for many years. Terry and Sujat have been married 42 years. They've raised 3 girls, Kasum, Marianne, and Sue Ann, have 10 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren. Terry started with the department in 1980, September 1980. That's when the department was with the city of Lincoln. It was the mayor's, I see in the PA was the mayor's division of correction. So I'd like to show you 1981, Terry was employee of the month.
Get that out. Just take a moment.
There we
There
go.
we go.
You had hair.
That's April of 81, so
Yeah.
575. It's great. We'll leave that up, I suppose, but we can turn it off. But it's the only photo I could find, Terry, at the time. So, I had to dig a lot to get back to that archive there. That was in 81. Later in August of 81, the county absorbed and took on as a department, Department of Corrections. In 1984, he's promoted to team leader. And later in November of 94, he was promoted to what they call Correctional Officer 2, which is shift supervisor. And then in May of 1987, he was the Employee of the Year for Lancaster County. Don't have that photo, but his name's on the wall out at the new jail. In 1989, January, he was promoted to Transition Coordinator for the 605 building that we have next door. And then in 1993, he became Interim Jail Administrator. I came later in 93, and we dropped the interim, and he became jail administrator, and just 24 hours away now, he'll be the former jail administrator. So I think at this time, we just wanted the board to be aware of the work he's done. Something I'd like to present to Terry, and means something in our business, keys, I guess. But today I'd like to award Terry one of the keys he used in the 605, or the 575 in the 605 building. And it'll say, from 125 to 780 beds in just 35 years, your direction and leadership guided our way. Appreciation of your service, Terry. September of 80, April 2015. So, Terry.
Well, first, I would like to thank the board, both its current and its past members, for the opportunity to work here for as long as I have, and for the opportunity to actually open not one but two new jail facilities, which I think is a little unique. I can appreciate how difficult it is sometimes to make decisions that are not going to be very popular, and I appreciate the board's willingness to step up to the plate when it was necessary. And I'm quite certain that the staff also appreciate the fact that they are being able to work in a very safe and secure facility. I would like to thank Director Thurber, Mike, for his patience, his guidance, and the opportunity that he's given me over these many years. And I'm sure, as you know, as managers, we're really only as good as our staff. And I've had the honor and privilege to work with some really good and dedicated individuals, and to them I say thank you. And if you would give me a moment, I would like to acknowledge my wife, Jajit, for her patience, her willingness to put up with me for the long days and the many hours that this job has taken away from her. So, thank you. And may God bless you as he has me.
Yeah, Larry?
Well, Terry, thank you for your 35 years of dedicated service. We've always had something in common. We combed our hair with a washcloth for many, many years.
A long time.
Actually served in 4 jails, because counting LCF and this one and the next one and then now the new one. So you've given us a lot of guidance and a lot of dedicated support, and your true commitment to doing what was best for your staff and the prisoners. You always, I remember once you came over and told me about the conditions in the old jail, where on a Friday night we just put everybody together in one thing. And so we had to make some changes and get the separation and the classification. But you did more than your job. You helped educate us and guide us along too. And even when there was bad news at 2 o'clock in the morning or midnight, well, you gave us a call and told us what was going on down there. So thank you. And you're right. Thank your wife for all the hours that you've sacrificed so that Terry could do his job to the best of his ability.
Thank you.
Yeah, Deb?
Echo Larry's comments about behind every amazing man is an amazing woman. And I've had the opportunity over a couple department Christmas parties to meet your daughters and grandchildren as well. And I'm sure they're all grateful because they will be the beneficiaries of your retirement.
We sure hope so.
And I just want to say, you are a man of few words. And through the construction process of the new jail and, of course, the work with the 2 other facilities, when you came before the board and had words to say, I always listened because I appreciate your wisdom, and the words you shared were always critical in helping us to make important decisions. So thank you for your 35 years of service.
Thank you.
Okay, Todd?
Well, along with what Larry and Deb said, I mean, it's obvious from your time in the Army to your time as the jail administrator, you're an example of what the best things about being a public servant are. Lancaster County has truly benefited from your last 35 years, and I just wish you the best in you and your wife, your future endeavors. I think this will be a great opportunity for you and your family. So, again, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I'm new to the board, and we don't know each other really, but I do appreciate your service to this county. I appreciate the fact that you served your country, and we need more people like you in public service. So thank you very much.
And I guess last but not least, and I just was going to mention, you know, I really appreciate your military service, and as a retired general officer, I guess I would just like to express the thanks of a grateful nation for your dedicated service, dedicated and selfless service. And so we even served in the same unit together, the 67th Mechanized Infantry. So thank you for everything that you've done.
That means a great deal to me, General.
Yes. Thank you. Okay.
Tomorrow at 2 to 4 out at the jail, we'll have another send-off. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, 2 to 4. All right. Thank you.
Next is number 4, new business. 4A is a recommendation from the purchasing department and the county engineer to award a contract to Constructors, Inc. in the amount of $2,551,207.25 for asphaltic concrete resurfacing for project 15-12.
Okay, and Pam Dingman.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. This is our annual asphalt overlay contract. And so I want to draw to your attention, though, that this contract does not include Bluff Road, which is also on our one-year plan. Waverly was having some coordination issues with a pipe that I want to wait until it's designed before I pave over it. And so you will see in the next couple weeks another bid come forward. As we continue to look at our finances and look for additional efficiencies, we may add additional overlay projects to that contract.
Engineer Dingman, with the reduction in oil prices, has this affected asphalt as well?
We really didn't see this year a dramatic change in the cost of asphalt. Now, it's interesting because as soon as oil prices go up, the price of the asphalt seems to go up, but it doesn't seem to go down as quickly when the oil prices go down.
Same thing's been true in diesel fuel. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this recommendation. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. B is a recommendation from the purchasing department and the county engineer to award a contract to First Wireless, Inc. in the amount of $69,527 for Kenwood radios and accessories for State of Nebraska contract 13382OC.
You may as well stay up here.
Yeah, really, good MC too.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. This is the recommendation for purchasing for the radios that we've talked about for some time in order to come compliant with new standards and be able to add GPS technology to all of our equipment, as well as some of our handheld radios. This will allow us to run the department in a much safer manner, that if somebody is in trouble out in a motor grader and they're by themselves, we'll know sooner. But in addition to that, it will allow us to say where our people have been. On occasion, we get a complaint and we don't really think we had anybody in the area. Or we get a lot of calls when it is snowing out about people wondering if we've been by their house yet or when we might be there. And so this will bring us up to date with technology and help us run the department a lot more efficient.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Well, I just
Oh,
had one
excuse
quick
me.
question. So in relationship to, I mean, I know there's a lot going on now. There's a conversation with the city, with the public safety bond issuance, with the public service director for the city of Lincoln. It's my understanding that this is not compatible with that system. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, and thank you for that question, Commissioner. So our radio system is not emergency grade. The things that we're talking about on a day-to-day basis on our radio system are, humbling things like bring me a load of rock to this location, or maybe I'm out and I say, you need to come out and look at this road as I'm out driving the roads. What we have done in the past, so that we do have coordination with emergency management and emergency services, is in an emergency event, emergency management gives us a radio that is compatible with their system, and that way we have one person designated to communicate with them. In a major emergency event, I think we don't want to muddy the waters with we need rocks or trucks. We need to focus the concentration on that and have that one point of contact with emergency management. And again, that is what we have done in the past.
Larry?
Also, I believe in the LEOP plan, the county engineer's office will be notified of any emergency, and then you can get on your radio system and tell your people what to do.
And as we near our first possible alert for tomorrow night with the possibility of severe weather, Commissioner Hudkins, you are aware that when they open up the system, I report to the Emergency Operations Center, and that way I have the most up-to-date information at the center that I am communicating through the radio system to my people in the field.
Yes.
Pam, how does this contract, the cost of this contract, compare to what it would cost us to participate in that new system we're talking about?
Thank you for that question, Commissioner. The new system would cost us approximately $350,000, and it would not supply us with the GPS that we so desperately need in order to track our equipment and our people as they're in the field. But in addition to that, the new system, maintenance-wise, would cost us an estimated $77,000 a year versus the 11 that we're looking at under this system.
Thank you.
Yes, Tom.
What I want to emphasize is my radio system is, my day-to-day needs are much less than are required by an emergency response system. This is not an emergency responder system.
And that was just my comment. I want to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples. And right now, we're comparing apples to oranges because the public safety needs of the sheriff's office and other first responders are different than yours.
We simply do not need an equivalent system to what the sheriff or the emergency responders use. That's correct, Commissioner Shore.
Just one last basic question. How many radios is this purchasing?
I believe it purchases 124 radios total, and that's some handheld, and then the rest are truck mounted.
Do we have a motion?
Okay, do we need yes, need a motion?
I will move approval of the contract with First Wires.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay,
sure,
I-
okay, yes.
I'll hold
From
my
the-
motion then.
Okay, and this is for public comment?
Yes.
Okay, and just to let you know, you do have 5 minutes.
Okay, great. My name is Jeff Babel, and I'm representing Schaefer Communications here today. Yesterday evening, I lodged a formal protest with the county clerk in regards to the way that this bidding or this request for quote process was handled for this particular batch of radios for the county engineer. I believe everybody on, all the commissioners were CC'd on that, so you may not have received it yet, but you certainly will shortly. Specifically, the complaint that I am bringing to your attention, I don't know if can I put things on here? Sure. Yeah, okay. You will see here, this is the request for quote document. I'm going to call it Exhibit 1, that was provided to a selected group of Kenwood dealers. Schaefer Communications was one of those dealers, by the city-county purchasing agent, Bob Walla. To my knowledge, it was written by him, but that isn't really something that I am clear on. You will note at the very top of it, in very bold letters, that it states Kenwood USA Corporation price quote, State of Nebraska contract 133820C. That's a very important part of my complaint, is that in this request for quotes, it was very specific in asking all of the vendors to provide price quotes that are based on the State of Nebraska contract that is then made available to all different government organizations, including the county, that you guys can use to bid off of or purchase from, okay? And the second part of this request for quotes was regarding the maintenance contract. So as a vendor, with the state contract being in place here, all vendors should have proposed a bid or a quote that were directly equivalent to each other for the equipment, and then the county engineers would have made their decision based on the maintenance contract portion that was requested. Being a standard contract, it requires for exactly 30% off of list price for all of those Kenwood radios and accessories. That is not negotiable under that state contract. The second item that I'd like to bring to your attention is a very thick state contract, the State of Nebraska contract, WISCA contract number 133820C, that was specifically referenced in this request for quotations. This is page 105 in the contract I have in front of me, and you can see towards the bottom, and if you spend any time digesting this document, you will find that it does indeed request 30% off of list price in this contract. It came to my attention after calling the purchasing agent that various vendors did not submit WISCA bids. And this purchasing agent on Friday made it very clear to me that it was not his job to make sure that vendors were providing bids based on the WISCA contract. It was his job to decide who had the lowest bid. I very much disagree with this. If we had been given an opportunity to place a bid, which is different from asking us to provide a quote based on the terms of the WISCA contract, our quote would have looked different. It would have not have been 30% off of list price. The third item that I am bringing to your attention is the quote from First Wireless that is being recommended to you for approval today. If you do the math here, you will see that it is approximately 40% off of list price for a total of around $69,000. This is my quote. It is significantly higher. It is almost $82,000. I understand choosing a lesser quote. I do not understand not following due process and requesting a bid under an existing state contract and then changing the rules because somebody else decided to break them and they like that quote better.
Well, I thank you for your comments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Mr. Walla, did you want to respond?
Bob Walla, Assistant Purchasing Agent. And I just wanted to point out that according to the information we have, the pricing that was provided by First Wireless, who we recommended, we were told that the reason that it was less is because there was a rebate or a discount through the manufacturer, which reduced the cost below what the WSCA pricing was. So that is the explanation we have from them.
Larry?
Mr. Walla, would the other vendor have the same opportunity to get that coupon or discount from Kenwood?
And that's something that I don't know, and that's something that is in play here, is that the contract is between the distributors and Kenwood USA. And the specific terms of those contracts are with those distributors. And we didn't see anything in the contract that stated contrary to not being allowed to utilize rebates or other discounts that might be in place during the term of the contract.
Okay.
So how much was the rebate that we're talking about with the First Wireless?
13.
I'm sorry, it was a $13,000 rebate.
If
the end user?
if according to what Schaefer's is saying, then yes, that apparently is the number. If they bid exactly WSCA, then we are assuming that First Wireless did as well, which is why it's a less price.
And so it's just their bid included the rebate.
That's what we have in response to our questions to that.
Any further yes.
I think that there's a need for an answer to this question.
Okay.
For Jeff to respond.
Did you want to respond? Yeah, please, come forward.
The rebates available to First Wireless would be available to us as well. However, when you specifically request a bid based on the state of Nebraska WSCA contract, it provides for a discount of precisely 30% off without any margin of difference. If the bid were requested, if it were requested as a general bid, then the vendor has the opportunity to price things as they choose. I believe that in addition to this $13,000, there is the matter of some mail-in rebates that are kind of confusing the issue. The mail-in rebates that are available is completely separate, to my knowledge, from the $13,000 difference between these two bids. And so that is an additional savings to the county that hasn't even been discussed here, to my knowledge. The $13,000 that I am aware of is made possible solely because the other vendor has proposed pricing that is not based on the WSCA contract.
Is there a representative here today from First Wireless?
No. The other discount that he's referring to is the mail-in rebate, which is due by April 30th, I believe it is. And that is a rebate that we, as the purchaser, would send in to Kenwood if we receive delivery by the end of April.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't taken into consideration because we know that we are going to get that, whichever vendor we went with.
So it's Kenwood, okay.
And the other part of this too, maybe this is what Brittany's coming up for, as far as how the state contract reads and is interpreted by us, appears to be somewhat different than what Schaefer is saying.
Brittany Barons, Deputy Lancaster County Attorney. The terms of the contract specifically state, and I think this is what they're getting at, is that the terms and conditions may not be inconsistent with, contrary to, or in addition to the WSCA contract. And it would be our office's interpretation that a rebate or a promotional discount that's offered to all vendors, that's not something that's contrary to, inconsistent with, or in addition to the terms of the contract. That's something that would be available to all vendors. It's a rebate that historically that is typical of these piggyback contracts, that we are under the County Purchasing Act. We're not we did not go out for bid. This is a piggyback off of an existing state contract. And while it is true that we may not, change the terms of that contract, that we are obligated to pursue those services or products in accordance with those terms or conditions, it is that which is inconsistent, contrary to, or in addition to the terms. And it would be our position that a rebate or promotional discount that's offered to the end user and or the vendor is not any of those three things.
So the argument you're making is true for both the $13,000 we're talking about and the $10,000 we're talking about?
Based on the information we have, those are both. One of those is a rebate that is offered to the vendor. That's my understanding. And the other one is an end user rebate that will have to be turned in by the county.
Okay.
And that would be available to the county regardless of which vendor we had selected.
Okay.
Okay, any questions, any further questions?
Is a final decision necessary on this today?
Sure what this
In order to
gentleman has
get in order to get the $13,000 rebate, yes. Yeah, did you?
Yes, Craig
Okay.
Wittstruck, 1630 K Street, Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm the attorney for Schaefer. I've been sitting here listening to this colloquy at this point in time, and I think somewhat, to some degree, we're missing the point here. The question is whether the bid was fair. The interpretation of the county attorney's office specifically indicated that the words addition to, well, in addition to the 30% off per the WISCA contract, that is an addition to. Some bidders bid it one way. Apparently some, actually quoters quoted it one way, some quoters quoted another way. But what we're missing here is that when you look at these quotes that were given to the purchasing department, assuming that, and Mr. Schaefer has indicated that the equipment bid would be the same had they known that was part of the bidding process and had not required the adherence to the 30% rule. If you look at the quote given, theirs is substantially lower for the service portion of the contract than is by First Wireless. And so at the end of the day, assuming everyone is quoting on an equal footing, which obviously was not the case here, if that was to be the case, then we look at the service contract portion of this quote. And I believe, if my numbers are correct, the service contract portion of the quote quoted by First Wireless was for $11,000 per year. For Schaefer's, it was $6,900 per year. And so again, it's really not a question of anything than fairness. If it's going to be a fair bid or a fair quote request, it's got to be fair. And in this case, it cost the taxpayers money to accept First Wireless, because assuming a fair opportunity to quote on both sides, then we go, which would be an equal quote for the equipment portion of this, then we go to the service contract portion of the quote, which is substantially higher if it comes to first. Yes.
So are you saying that the entity you represent would match the 69.5 because that rebate was also available to
any
them?
Kenwood dealer? Yeah, it would be. Had they known that the quotes were not to be based on the 30% rule and to be based on any other kind of discounts, they could have submitted their quote another way, which I presume would be almost identical to that on the equipment side. Then, of course, on the service contract side, we still have the issue of it being substantially higher with First Wireless. So it's a matter of fairness, but as an individual taxpayer, at the end of the day, not only is it a matter of fairness, but it's a matter of savings to the county, because assuming the equipment is purchased by within striking distance of one another, if not exactly the same, then we have the institution of the service contract, which is higher to the taxpayer. Thank you.
I have a question.
I'm sorry.
The rebate of 13,000, would that automatically be retained by the vendor, or would it go to the county?
My understanding is that the equipment purchase part of this, Mr. Avery, would be the same for any distributor of Kenwood products. And the only discrepancy is that one distributor submitted a quote including the discount. The other one adhered to the WISCA contract. And I would have to submit also, in my opinion, as a legal opinion, is that when you say we're taking the WISCA contract and adding to that. The language of the contract says 30% off list price. And so the discount is adding to that. I mean, it's just common sense. And so I'm here on behalf of Schaefer, but I'm also here on behalf of myself as a taxpayer, because at the end of the day, the quote that's being attempted to be accepted here will end up being higher for the taxpayer than quotes of other parties, at least Schaefer that I know of, that would have adhered to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Amundson, if I could just humbly request, there are 2 items on the agenda today. The first item is item B, which is the purchase of the radios, and the second item is item C, which is the maintenance of the radios. So if we could package these into the 2 items that they are first, when we get to item C, we'll be happy to address the
Okay.
difference in the contract.
Okay,
And so,
that's fine.
but I do want to emphasize how important it is, unfortunately, that we accept this bid today, because time is running out for these rebates, and our taxpayers, stand to lose a substantial amount of money from the rebates. In fact, about $21,000.
Now, there was a comment made that it was March 31st, and another comment that it was April 31st. Which is it?
Okay, so thanks for the question, Commissioner Shore. There are 2 rebates. Apparently, there is one rebate to the vendor of approximately $13,000. There's a second rebate to us, the county, as an end user for approximately $7,800. The $13,000 rebate expires today. The $7,800 rebate expires April 30th.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, and then Vince Majors, would you come up then, please?
If I might just echo my original complaint that I brought before the board today, I might restate that the urgency to save money regarding rebates is a very poor reason to break due process and to provide a level playing field amongst vendors. I understand that there's some urgency here. I would contend that doing things the correct way is more important than receiving those end user rebates and cramming something through that is improper and possibly illegal in order to save that amount of money.
Good morning,
Vince?
Vince Major, City Purchasing, City County Purchasing. You have a question?
Yes.
Vince, we've heard kind of both sides of the story on this here. You're the chief of the purchasing division. Did we comply with the Purchasing Act? And is your recommendation? You've heard both sides of the story here. Is your recommendation?
I believe we complied with the County Purchasing Act. This is no different than when we piggyback on HGAC contracts or any other governmental contract. We call for pricing from all the local vendors, not international or national vendors, the locals, to have them submit. In actuality, you might want to call it best and final offer. And then we make our recommendation award from there.
And so it appears that one of the vendors took into consideration a direct rebate back to them, and possibly the other one didn't. And that basically what happened?
In my opinion, they all had the same opportunity and chance to do it.
Thank you.
Yes, Bill?
My concern here is that this is an urgent issue. It should not be. Why are we now facing a decision today with the deadline today?
I'll let them answer that.
Well, you're the purchasing department, right?
Well, the bids and information that came to us came at a later time, and to get the bids out or quotes out and get it back in time, it all takes time. And yes, we
You
weren't
must have
aware of-
known that you were presenting the board with a very difficult decision. It's contested, And I think a very impressive case was made. But here I am being asked to make a decision that if I vote no, that means that the county's going to lose out on some rebates. We shouldn't be in this position. That's what I'm saying.
I understand.
Just as a response to that, I've been working with Ron and Pam on this purchase for a little over a month as the discussions were held in regards to the city-county emergency system. There was a lot of investigation that went into whether or not that was the direction that they were going to go. They were reviewing other information that they received on other radio systems, and the end result was us putting this out in the timeline that we did in order to get this done as soon as possible, with the delivery by April 30th at the latest. And best case scenario, we were eligible for another rebate with this March 31st deadline. In between there, Ron had some health issues that he addressed, that he had to address as well. But I thought that we moved the process through as quick as we could. And last Wednesday or so, I believe, is when we received these proposals back. This was the first meeting that we could have after they were received.
Okay, yes, Bill?
If I might just elaborate a bit, if Schaefer had not shown up to make the other case and to contest this, we may not have known that there was a possible discrepancy in how the process was followed. And we would have just all agreed, yes, we approve this. Now I'm in a situation where I'm thinking I might vote no. I think Schaefer's made a good case. But then I don't want to have to put the county in a position of missing out on rebates. So I'm looking for some help here.
This is a situation that happens pretty much daily in the purchasing office. We have a vendor that we select. We have a vendor that doesn't like that selection or finds some way to say that they didn't get a fair shot at it or they didn't understand exactly what we were looking for. And we take that information and we do the best we can in order to give you a recommendation. And we work with the attorney's office in order to get to that point.
And it's important to note here, the difference here is this isn't a typical situation where we have timelines laid out because of a bid protest procedure. This isn't a bid, this wasn't RFP'd, this is a existing contract. It is solely a procedural reason why this item comes before you. On items over $20,000, even though the contract has already been approved, it's the board's policy to take any item $20,000 or more and have that come to you even though you've already approved the contract itself. So essentially, you're somewhat approving just the purchase order or the acquisition going forward. The terms of the contract have already been approved. With that said, legally and dealing with the time constraints, I think that the board probably has the ability that if the board wanted to make a motion in instructing and authorizing a purchase after gaining some additional information, obviously there would need to be some very, very specific parameters about what additional information the board is seeking. If that means a motion to approve a contract for the purchase of the radios after asking all of the vendors what their pricing would be inclusive of the rebate and end user rebate, that's something that the board has the ability to do while still authorizing the purchase today. We would obviously just need some very, very, very clear parameters of what that authorization is.
Very well-trained lawyer, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm just trying to help. I mean, trying to help you out would give you some options.
A couple questions. We've heard the word due process used 3 times today. Can you tell me specifically what due process means?
In this context, I'm not quite sure what he's referring to, as it isn't like I said, it isn't a typical protest procedure. I mean, essentially what we're talking about is an interpretation of the contract language and whether in fact someone would be in breach of the contract for, moving forward with a purchase. I mean, I think he's talking about fairness. I mean, I think he's equating, and I can't speak for him, but I think he's equating due process to just simple fairness in the process, that I think he feels like he didn't have the opportunity to present the same information that the other vendors were able to present. And Bob is absolutely correct that this happens on a daily, weekly basis.
Okay, that was first of three. Bob,
Shouldn't.
do the use of rebates, does that happen frequently in the bidding process, or is this unique?
It happens, I mean, I wouldn't say frequently, but it does happen. I give you an example. We have a similar contract with Hewlett-Packard for computers, and it turns out that when we call in to get an estimate for the cost of those computers, we call one of several vendors. When that vendor calls in to HP to get the quote, that vendor automatically receives a greater price discount than any of the other vendors that bid on it. And the reason is because it's an HP policy of how they put things out there and how they do their pricing. We have a contract for it that we are part of, but the company itself has additional incentives that certain companies get and certain companies don't. And I get a phone call pretty much every time we have one of those out there that says, why aren't you calling me first? Or if you give me a chance to get called first so that I get the best pricing. So, there are things that go on, and that is not written in the contract that someone should get a better pricing just because they made a phone call before someone else. So that's kind of in the same realm as this, is that we don't know what Kenwood is offering out to the distributors. And, it'd be pretty much impossible for us to find that out for every one of them.
Okay. Did you have a third question?
Well, it has to do with item C, and I think probably Pam's going to tell me not to ask an question on item C. Do we get to item C?
Let's wait for that.
Okay.
Yes, Todd?
Okay, so I guess in my mind, the real question is whether or not the use of a vendor to pass along their rebate to us, should that nullify this agreement or the contract? And so, I mean, what would your advice be?
I'm not sure of the question.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, that's really what the issue is that we have a vendor who is going to pass along their rebate along to the county. And so,
Correct.
and then a second vendor is asking us to throw that bid out because it violated the contract. But based on everything I'm hearing, that's really not something that is...
And legally, that wouldn't be my position. However, if it is simply an argument about fairness and making sure that everybody is submitting a quote that is based on the same information, then you have the ability to reach out and recontact those vendors and ask them, obviously with the time constraint that approval of some purchase from some vendor needs to be authorized today due to the timeliness of the rebate.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So you're saying that we don't have to specifically authorize this purchase? We authorize the purchase, but not this vendor?
you could authorize the purchase and authorize the county engineer in concert with the purchasing agent. They've got the authority statutorily to, with your blessing, to make that determination. You would already be authorizing the purchase. It's just that you wouldn't have the information in front of you, which makes it difficult.
I think that that's the option we ought to select. And we have a motion on the floor that has not been seconded.
When he stood to speak, I said I withdraw my motion.
And I just barely seconded when she said that, but then she withdrew the motion. So you actually, typically you did have a motion and a second, but then she withdrew the motion.
With your approval? That's the procedure.
She withdrew the motion and I didn't object, so I guess that would indicate my approval.
Okay, so is there any further discussion, or have we come to a point?
So you're saying we can make a motion to approve the purchase of Kenwood radios and request that the purchasing agent and the county engineer work together to get the lowest price in the next 4.5 hours?
You would obviously have to be getting additional information from those vendors. I mean, if the question is, were the quotes submitted based on the same information, then purchasing would have to go back and say, we want quotes off of the state contract that include the discounted rebate or the rebate price. Because that's essentially what they're alleging, is that their number would be different if they had incorporated the rebate.
And there were more than these two vendors
Correct.
that submitted. There's 6
Oh, there
total,
we
and
go.
the possibility of getting all of those contacted and a response back today is probably 0.
I guess the issue that I have, what we have done though, is not illegal. Okay, and so what we actually have done, it is one vendor actually decided to provide the rebate immediately up front, and the other vendor decided not to. And the question then is, would that vendor have provided that $13,000 rebate? That is the question. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I think one vendor very actually came forward and said, hey, we'll give you the benefit of that rebate.
And obviously, the other 6 did not as well.
They did not either then, apparently.
But that does not answer the procedural question or the due process issue.
Technically, on this one, I could have brought you a recommendation for an award to one of these companies without going to any of the other ones, and it would have been a done deal. We did what we did in order to open it up to all of the radio companies that were listed in the Kenwood WSCA contract. We did it as a good faith effort to give everyone the opportunity to provide their pricing.
There's a laundry list of enumerated items in the County Purchasing Act. Low bid is one of them, but it's one of many. There are many things that can be taken into consideration. So there are multiple factors, and in the situation of a piggyback contract where it is not bid, this was not a situation where the county was legally required to competitively bid this. So it is not a competitive bid situation, which legally under the County Purchasing Act gives the county much greater latitude. So, I mean, Bob is accurate as to the law in the sense of the County Purchasing Act, and this was an attempt to get the best, most responsible bidder and best price for taxpayer dollars.
And actually, I guess the one thing about it is that we really do rely upon our county council as well as the experience of our county officials. And you are very comfortable with the fact that the procedures were appropriately followed. Yeah. Uh-huh. So,
Madam
yes.
Chairman, so based on that explanation and your assurances, I would move approval of this contract.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this recommendation to award the contract to First Wireless. Is there any further discussion? Please call.
I just want to state that I am not going to vote owing to the fact that there are still open questions in my own mind.
Okay, please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Avery,
Not voting.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4 yes, 1 not voting. 4C is a recommendation from the purchasing department and the county engineer to award a contract to First Wireless, Inc. in the amount of $11,000 per year for maintenance service for Kenwood radios and accessories per state of Nebraska contract 133882OC.
All right. Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. Item C is the maintenance contract for the radios. It was stated that I was recommending not the low price in this instance. I would like to state that based on the other bidder, that his maintenance agreement did not include the handheld radios. We do use handheld radios in a number of our scenarios. That's why I am recommending the most responsive bid so that I can incorporate the maintenance for our handheld radios into this agreement.
Okay. Yeah, Jeff?
Thank you for the opportunity. I will note that on this particular line item, Schaefer Communications was the low bidder in comparison to First Wireless, which is apparently a very important fact. In regards to the handheld radios, typically the maintenance contract, keep in mind that any radio purchased in this situation is under warranty for 3 years, okay? And that maintenance contract, the large purpose of this maintenance contract is to pay for the time that it takes for somebody to go out to a motor grader and service the mobile radio that is inside that motor grader. The handheld radios are not a significant expenditure for a shop like ours because most of the service work is done on a bench under warranty in our shop. That is why I did not, I guess, again, this probably speaks to not understanding or not clearly reading the specific line items in this request for quotes, but I was intending to provide free service under warranty for those portable radios. But I apologize, I guess that didn't come through in my request for quote.
Okay. Any comments? Okay.
Is this time sensitive? Do we have to act now?
Commissioner Avery, there is not the requirement that you act now on this particular item, but we do have an existing maintenance contract for our radios, but I would strongly suggest that this item be piggybacked onto the other item.
And this is one that does specifically cover the handheld.
That is correct.
And
Go ahead.
is it true that they are under warranty for 3 years?
This is true.
So the maintenance for 3 years would be paid by the company?
You know, I need to look into that a little more, but there is a warranty on the radios. We have other equipment. We're not repurchasing 100% of this radio system. We have a repeater and some other radios that we have bought to replace ones that have been damaged in the past couple years. So we would still have equipment that will not be under warranty. Ron Bahati.
And while Ron is coming up, how many handheld and how many mounted units? And just so or is it 100 of one and 20 of the other, or 50-50?
Ron Bohati, shop supervisor for Lancaster County Engineering. What we have right now is somewhere between 116 and 122 radios that are mounted in vehicles. We have about 41 handhelds. The warranty on the radios, the new ones, will be 3 years, but that's the radio itself. So if you want it repaired, you have to take it out of the vehicle and take it into the service center. The maintenance contract allows for this vendor to go to our locations to service them. For example, Firth, Nebraska, where we have a motor grader, you wouldn't want to drive that motor grader into Lincoln to have it serviced. So what they normally do is they take a spare radio with them, swap it out, take it back in, warranty it. That way we just keep going without interruption.
Any further discussion? Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
There's someone that wants a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll just note that is one difference between a mobile radio that is in a motor grader and a portable radio. Is the portable radio typically receives service in a shop. It's dropped off at a front counter, and the service is completely covered under warranty on something like a portable radio. And I will just note again that our service contract is significantly less expensive than First Wireless's bid. If we're talking approximately $11,000 per year versus $6,900 per year, that is a significant difference between our bid for service and their bid for service. It's just a different philosophy of doing business. They chose to give the county all the rebates up front in order to make the purchasing department and the board say, wow, how could we say no to this? But then over the long term, the maintenance contract is significantly higher than ours.
Well, any further comment?
Pam, will First Wireless provide service to the old radios as well?
Correct.
Okay.
Could I ask a question?
Mhm.
Where is First Wireless? Why aren't they here?
You know, I can't answer that question, Commissioner Avery. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, this was, you know, all of this discussion that we're having right now is based on an email that was sent last night at 10:30
Yeah.
p.m.
They expect you to make the case for them, it looks like.
Well, First Wireless provided a bid that I believe is responsive. I mean, it's interesting to me to step up to this microphone and now have somebody say, well, I would have included this for free in my bid had I known. I am taxed with recommending a bid.
With
I
what
am
you-
recommending for this particular item of maintenance that we go with First Wireless. After they install the system, we are hard on things, you know. Antennas get knocked off of our motor graders by trees. We do have a lot of back and forth. So I am recommending that, that we go with First Wireless to maintain the systems.
Larry, and then
And the handheld units were omitted in the second bid. How long is this bid for $11,000 per year? How long is that in force? How many years? Or is it renewable?
The existing contract that we have, we've had since, I believe, the 70s. And it is, you know,
Okay.
if there's a change that needs to be made, we can put the contract back out to bid.
Out for bid. What would you say is the average life of a handheld radio?
Commissioner Hudkins, I mean, that kind of
I know
depends
they-
on the user in the day. You know, we have handheld radios that only make it like a year or two before somebody drops them or they get wet or whatever.
But you do have some that are over 3 years old and are going to need maintenance, right? That's my point.
I would have to go back in the inventory and look and see what radios we've bought in the last couple years. And Commissioner Hudkins, I'm just not prepared to offer you that information at this time.
Well, and
Todd?
that just kind of follows my question. So we do have existing handheld radios.
Right,
That
that
if
need
we
service.
reject this and possibly go with another vendor who did not include handheld radios in their contract, we would have handheld radios that would not be covered under any support contract.
That's correct.
Okay.
140 of them, or 160 of them.
Want to make it the board's, bring it to the board's attention that based on some of the, there was a question and answer session that took place during the quote process that specified specifically which radios, and this was created by Ron Bohati and disseminated through the purchasing office, that specified exactly which radios were going to be kept in service by the engineers and which ones were going to be taken out of service once all these new radios were purchased. And I will just bring it to the board's attention that the list that was provided by the Lancaster County engineers only included radios that will be under warranty. After this radio purchase is made, to my knowledge, there will not be a single radio in the hand of an individual of the Lancaster Engineers Office who is not operating a radio that is under warranty, according to the plans that were provided to us.
That's important.
okay, any further discussion? Okay,
I have a question.
yes.
If we vote no, we then have to reissue or have the request for quotes reissued?
Okay, Vince, can you come up and talk to that?
Yes, to answer your question, if we don't have a maintenance contract, if you vote no, we still need a maintenance contract, so we would have to go out and get quotes again.
And this could be on the agenda next week?
Possibly, depending on workloads and everybody's schedules. We could possibly get it on next week.
When does our current maintenance contract expire with our current vendor?
I have no idea.
Maybe Mr. Bohutty can.
And while Ron's coming up, question of Vince for you. Vince, a question for you. Could we be sitting here next week listening to First Wireless say on this maintenance agreement that they were being denied because they were the most responsible bidder and that they included both types of radios and that the other vendors didn't?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's,
I put the existing contract there for to be displayed. It's actually when there was only 3 members on the board, so it's a little aged. And it's
That is.
actually a contract that states that is non-expiring and has to be given 30 days notice to terminate it, and it is with Schaefer's.
So we would, if we vote no,
At this very moment, we still have a
we still
maintenance
have a
contract.
service contract. Thank you.
And Ron, while you're there, will we have handheld radios in service that will not be new and will not be under warranty that possibly may need service after we get
Without
these
the
new?
entire list in front of me,
It's hard to
I
say.
would have to say the existing equipment that we are planning on keeping that is not part of this purchase today are units that have some warranty still left. There may be 1 or 2 pieces that don't, but they're going to be a year or 2 into it. So they won't have the entire 3 years, but they do have some remainder of the warranty left.
Then if I may, one more question for Mr. Majors. Are these 2 contracts tied together, or are they separate contracts?
Want to address it?
Yes, I do. So, I came before you, I made my recommendation on both of these items. Here's the issue. If we have one vendor install the radios, I think it's best to have the vendor who installed the radios be responsible for them. So in this case, as you look holistically at both of the bids, you have the maintenance agreement where, you know, First Wireless quoted all of the items that they were asked to quote. And so they are the responsive bid, and they're the persons installing these radios on all of our equipment. And for continuity, I think we need to have the same company responsible for these.
Larry?
One further question. Where is the home base of First Wireless? Where do they office out of? And do they have a local representative?
Yes, they have a local representative. I believe they have offices in Lincoln and Omaha.
Is their main corporate office Omaha, or is it
I
Lincoln?
couldn't tell you whether main's Lincoln or Omaha. But they're both a Kenwood dealer and a Motorola dealer.
Okay. Well, I think that we've heard quite a bit.
Yep.
So, do I have a motion?
Madam Chairman, on the basis of the Chairman or Engineer Dingman's recommendation, I'm going to move to approve this contract.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this contract. Any further discussion?
I'm going to vote no, and I'll tell you, the Kenwoods are not strange, and they're not unknown to other vendors, and I think we ought to vote no on this and come back with another request for quotes. And I don't really think continuity is an issue. If you're a good technician and you've serviced these before, you can still do it.
Okay, well, thank you. We have a motion and a second? Please call the roll.
There is
Oh,
someone wishing to speak.
okay, yes.
I'd just like to go down on the record that we have provided the service contract for the Lancaster County engineers since before I was born. And that I don't care who you buy the radios from at the end of the day, I would service those radios to the utmost of my ability.
Okay. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Hudkins,
No.
Avery,
No?
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 3 yes, 2 no. Toxicology Laboratory, Inc., the City of Lincoln and Lancaster County for drug and alcohol screening products and services. The county will pay for products and services in accordance with the state of Minnesota MMCAP contract number MMS 14033. The contract is effective upon execution through September 30th, 2015.
I would move approval of the contract.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this contract with Redwood Toxicology. Please call, is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudkins,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. E is a contract between Thermo King Christensen, Inc., the City of Lincoln and Lancaster County for their annual supply of antifreeze, coolants, and windshield washer fluid. Term of the agreement is 1 year from the date of execution by all parties.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this contract. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. F is a contract between Sapp Brothers Petroleum, Inc., the City of Lincoln and Lancaster County for the annual supply of antifreeze, coolants, and windshield washer fluid. Term of the agreement is 1 year from the date of execution by all parties.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this contract with Sapp Brothers Petroleum. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. G is a contract with Interstate Sealant and Concrete Inc. in the amount of $61,210 for crack sealing bituminous pavement, project 15-14, bid number 15-45.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this contract with Interstate Sealant and Concrete. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 4H is a grant contract with El Centro de Las Americas in the amount of $20,531 to provide funding for the improved legal advocacy relating to protection orders and immigrants in Lancaster County project. Term of the grant contract is October 1st, 2014 to September 30th, 2017.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this contract with El Centro de las Americas. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Shore.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. I is an agreement with the Child Advocacy Center to conduct interviews and medical examination of child abuse victims to aid law enforcement and prosecutors in their investigations of child abuse. The county will pay $20,000 for the services. Term of the agreement is October 1st, 2015 to September 30th, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this agreement with Child Advocacy Center. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Utility permit number 1259 for Windstream Nebraska, Inc. to perform cable repair along West Bennett Road. This is between Southwest 58th Street and Southwest 42nd Street.
Ken Schroeder, Lancaster County Engineering. I just wanted to point out that on utility permit 1259 and 1260, the last 2 pages of the document through copying process are reversed. The one for Bennett Road has the drawings for Rokeby Road and vice versa. And I'll work with Kelly to make sure that before they get scanned into the record that that's changed. It doesn't affect the text. That's all okay. I just noticed that this morning and wanted to point that out.
When I read it over this morning, it didn't make sense either, so thank you.
Okay. The other ones are okay.
Okay.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the utility permit number 1259. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin,
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 4K is utility permit number 1260 for Windstream Nebraska, Inc. to perform cable repair along West Rokeby Road, east of South First Street.
Move approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve utility permit number 1260. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudgens?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Welchen?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. L is utility permit number 1261 for Windstream Nebraska Inc. to perform underground cable installation for new service along North First Street between West Raymond Road and West Mill Road.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve utility permit number 1261. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore?
Yes.
Welchen?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Hudgens?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. M is utility permit number 1262 for Windstream Nebraska Inc. to extend service to 11700 Southwest Second Street.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve utility permit number 1262. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Welchen?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Four N is utility permit number 1263 for Windstream Nebraska Inc. to perform cable replacement at 84th Street and Holdridge Street.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve utility permit number 1263. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery?
Yes.
Hudgens?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Welchen?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. O is a partial release of easement with Brush Creek Estates as shown on Exhibit A.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this partial release of easement. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudgens?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Welchen?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. P is amendment to county contract C-12-334 with Cedars Youth Service for Cedars Tracking Program. The amendment reduces the funding in year 3 to $20,000.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this amendment to county contract. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore?
Yes.
Welchen?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Hudgens?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 4Q is amendment to county contract C-13-151 with the Lincoln Journal-Star for the annual requirements of publishing legal notices and all other verbiage necessary to conduct city and county business. The amendment renews the agreement for an additional one-year term from April 9th, 2015 to April 8th, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this amendment to county contract. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Hudgens?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. R is reappointment of Ted LaGrange and Merle Jady, and appointment of Marilyn Tabor, Dave Goslin, and Dennis Adams to the Lincoln-Lancaster County Ecological Advisory Committee for 3-year terms commencing January 1st, 2015 and ending December 31st, 2017.
I move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this reappointment. Yes.
Want to thank Ted LaGrange and Merle Jady for their continued service to come back on a second term, and both of them have a lot of expertise and are very good on that committee.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's very true. Okay, please call the roll.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Hudgens?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. S is a political subdivision tort claim filed against Lancaster County Corrections by Miranda Mickish for lost property in an amount of $15.
Based upon the recommendation of the Director of Corrections, I move we approve this tort claim.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this tort claim, and we did find the property, right?
No.
Approving it.
Yes, and that's why we're, So, please call the roll.
Shore?
Yes.
Hudgens?
Yes.
Avery?
No. Yes. Sorry.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Next is number 5, consent items. Setting of public hearings on Tuesday, April 7th, 2015 at 10:30 a.m. in room 112 of the County City Building regarding the following. Class 1 liquor license for Engine House Cafe on the Lake LLC doing business as Boathouse Bar and Grill at 10,005 West Davie Road in Raymond. County Special Permit number 15006 to develop the Coyote Ridge Community Unit Plan on property generally located at Northwest 70th Street and West Rock Creek Road. Right-of-way contracts for Steve Spader, North 56th Street and Little Salt Road in the amount of $48. Keith Rokenbach, South 176th Street and Pioneer Boulevard in the amount of $832.
Move approval of the consent items.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve that the consent items be approved. Please call the roll.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Next is number 6, public comment. Those wishing to speak on items relating to county business not on the agenda may do so at this time.
I guess I would just at this point in time like to say do we have 2 students here? Okay, could you just tell us where you're from and everything like that? And what, you are from?
The University of Nebraska-Lincoln, room 3101.
Okay, all right. Just taking notes on this. Yeah, we had an interesting discussion.
We were pretty, I think we all were pretty impressed.
It's not like this usually.
And you are also? Same class? Okay, all right. Well, we welcome you here.
Yeah,
And, okay.
Thank you
bet.
for participating.
Mhm, yeah. Okay, anyone who would like to make public comment? Okay, please move forward then.
Next is announcements. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a staff meeting on Thursday, April 2nd, 2015 at 8:30 a.m. in the Bill Luxford Studio of the County City Building. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold their next regular meeting on Tuesday, April 7th, 2015 at 10:30 a.m. in Room 112 of the County City Building with the Board of Equalization immediately following. County Commissioners can be reached at 402-441-7447 or commish@lancaster.ne.gov. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting is broadcast live. It is rebroadcast on Tuesday and Saturday on 5 City TV, Cable Channel 5. In addition, the meeting may be viewed on the internet at lancaster.ne.gov under 5 City TV, Video on Demand, or 5 City TV on YouTube.
I would move adjournment.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Please call the roll.
Avery?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, Board of Commissioners is now closed and adjourned. We'll move on now to the Lancaster County Board of Equalization.
A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the wall at the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, a copy of all written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available from the county clerk staff. The material can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Also in attendance this morning is Scott Gaines from the county assessor's office. Agenda item 1 are minutes. Approval of minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held on Tuesday, March 24th, 2015.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? Please call the roll.
Avery?
Yes.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 2 are additions and deductions to the tax assessment rolls.
Move approval of the additions and deductions.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the additions and deductions to the tax assessment rolls. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Next is a public hearing, motor vehicle tax exemption applications for Catholic Social Services, Christ Place, Lincoln Church of Christ, and Temple Baptist Church.
Move approval.
Second.
We need to open the public hearing.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, okay, this is a public hearing, and so we will open this. Is there anyone speaking in support of these exemption applications? Anyone in opposition? Neutral? I'll close the public hearing, and now we do have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Let's make that motion again.
Yeah.
Okay,
I move approval.
move approval, okay, and there is a second?
Second.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve these motor vehicle tax exemption applications. Please call the roll.
Shore?
Yes.
Wilchin?
Yes.
Avery?
Yes.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Madam Chair, I move we adjourn.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we adjourn. Please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Hudkin,
Yes.
Dorr.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.